Now I know what you're probably thinking. Rachel, this is not where you normally film. Where are the fairy lights? Where are the excessive amount of pop figures? Well, today I'm house sitting for my parents, so we are coming at you live from my childhood bedroom, which is now full of boxes and 2 vacuum cleaners for some reason, and this puzzle of a bird. That was not there when I lived here. That would have been like a My Chemical Romance poster. So just imagine that instead, okay? Brutus! I'm also looking after this munchkin. This is Brutus. He's a fluffy menace, but I love him. So I've been wanting to make this video for a while now, but in light of some recent YouTube drama, I decided to let it jump the queue of garbage video ideas in the hopes that maybe I will make something relevant for a change. So, Photoshop. Good? Bad? A slightly more complex issue that requires more than a black and white answer? Let's discuss. So I don't use Photoshop, as anyone who follows me on Instagram could probably tell you. I have an Instagram, by the way, and if you wanted to follow that, that might be cool or whatever. But it's not because I have some moral objection or because I don't know how to use Photoshop. It's because I know that my self-conscious ass wouldn't know where to stop. I'd just keep editing and editing and editing until I ended up looking like this. And it's a look, but it's not my look. You know what I mean? Anyway, after a lot of internet dwelling, I've become pretty familiar with 2 different sides of this argument, and honestly, I don't know where I stand on it. So, today we're gonna have a look at 2 different sides of the argument, and hopefully come to some sort of measured conclusion at the end. And I hope you find this as interesting as I do, and that it's not one of my just weird, super niche interests that no one else cares about. Okay? Okay. Do you hate the way you look? No? Well then tell me your secrets. So a lot of people don't feel great about the way they look, and this affects women in particular because we're often led to believe that our looks are our most important quality, but it also affects men, you know? Self-loathing is universal. But what if there were a way to change the way you look? To cultivate an image of yourself that you like and to put that image out into the world? Would that be so wrong? Photoshop allows people to create an image of themselves that they're happy with. It lets them control how other people perceive them, and I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. There's also the argument that James Charles made when he was called out for face-tuning a chip, that photo editing is an art form. So bouncing off that idea, a lot of people put a ton of work into their Instagram accounts. They pay attention to whether the colours match up, whether it all looks good together, whether they're posting at the right time to get the most likes. It's an art for them. So if you look at Photoshop as just another tool to improve their art, it doesn't seem like a bad thing. At least not to me. That being said, if we all just embraced a little bit of tummy fat, everyone would have to be cool with it, okay? They'd have no choice. We could be free. The world is a nightmarish hellscape. But as people who live in the world, maybe we should be doing our part to make it a little better, I guess, if we have to. So the obvious argument against Photoshop is that it perpetuates an unobtainable beauty standard, that it pressures people to look a certain way, and taken to its extreme, people can do a lot of harm to themselves in the pursuit of this unobtainable goal. And yeah, that's a fair argument. There is a big body positivity community on Instagram, and if you search that hashtag, there's a lot of pictures of people who are happy with the way they look, unphotoshopped, and they want to share that with the world. There's also a lot of positive messages about self-love, beauty standards are fucked, all bodies are good bodies, and I would honestly recommend checking it out because there's some really good stuff in there. You should also check out Jamila Jamil if you haven't already, because she has a lot of good stuff to say on this topic, and she started a movement, the I Weigh movement, to combat harmful beauty standards, and it's really good, and you should check her stuff out. The idea behind this section of Instagram is a great one, that we should all love ourselves for who we are. But what if we don't? in my opinion, is all about striking a balance between the world we wish we lived in and the world we actually live in. For example, I wish that I lived in a world where I could feel safe walking around at night, listening to music and absorbing the darkness. But I don't. So I compromise by going for late night drives and absorbing the night through my sunroof. The same thing applies to Photoshop. I would love it if we lived in a world where beauty standards weren't shoved down our throats constantly, where people didn't feel such pressure to look a certain way, but we don't. We just don't. Now some people, the body positive crowd, have decided to try and change this by ignoring beauty standards and posting whatever they want anyway and feeling good about themselves in spite of everything. And that's amazing. I have to applaud that. It's incredible. But we can't all have that level of self-confidence. Not everyone feels good about the way they look, and I can't blame them for that. But what I can do is set out some ground rules that should be obeyed by everyone, because my opinion is the most important opinion, obviously. Rule number 1, if you're gonna use Photoshop, be honest about it. Don't pretend that you have a massive ass and no cellulite somehow, or that your waist is just naturally that thin because you were born without ribs. It's a genetic condition. Be honest. If someone asks you, tell them you use Photoshop. Maybe put a little disclaimer in the description saying, this image is Photoshopped. That way, you're still putting out an image of yourself that you love, but you're not tricking people into thinking that this is somehow obtainable, when it isn't. You didn't obtain it. Rule number 2, don't make fun of other people's appearance. It was brought to my attention by the Nerd City's video on this topic that some people who use Photoshop make fun of other people who use Photoshop for using Photoshop? No! What are you doing? Stop it! Don't be mean! This is a great message for life in general, okay? Just be nice. Don't be mean. Be kind, or I'll come to your house and punch you in the throat. Anyway, that is all I have to say on this topic. If you liked this video, consider subscribing, because every time someone subscribes to this channel, someone out there in the universe takes a picture of themselves that they're genuinely happy with. And that is a rare and wonderful thing. You could also follow me on Instagram if you'd like to see some unphotoshopped but heavily filtered images of my face. Thank you for watching, have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Say goodbye! Say goodbye! Bye-bye! Next door's dog's jealous because he's not in my video.